Hello everybody. So I've got a lot to tell you this week. Behind me is laundry because it's just real life, y'all. I can hide the laundry that I'm currently doing on the floor, but I feel like we have gotten past that and I can just be real with y'all. I'm in the middle of doing laundry and I'm stopping to do the video. So first, I have some footage from when I was taking my glucose test and at my midwife, so I'm gonna show you guys that here. All right guys, so I got up this morning, I had breakfast, I just had 2 eggs, and then I had a protein snack at 10:30, and now it is 11:30. It is half an hour before my appointment, so I'm going to drink my juice. Actually supposed to drink 12 ounces, so I gotta go add 2 more. This is a 10 ounce, that's all I could find. But I bought a little pack of them, so I'm gonna add 2 more ounces, and I'm going to drink it for my glucose screening, and then I go to my appointment, and then when I'm at my appointment after half an hour, we test to see. So this is how we do it. I like juice okay, but like not like a big juice drinker, and it just sits heavy in my stomach, and this is grape juice. Well, just 100% grape juice, but I still prefer it over the little glucose drinks. Although those are they're not as bad, I think, as some people think they are, but this is better, but it's not like it's my favorite thing. Really bad angle. And I just drank 2 other ounces I poured out. You're supposed to drink it in like a couple of minutes. It's hard. It is hard to drink something so sugary in a couple of minutes. It does have 2 servings of fruit per container. Oh, I actually like the taste of it, but I'm struggling to drink this. Besides water, I don't drink anything fast. I can chug water fast if it's like hot or I've been working out, but halfway done. There we go. Got it. All right, I'm all juiced up.
That's placenta. Let's see if we can find the baby actually.
She jumped a lot when you walked away, of course, right after you left. I was like, oh.
Where did you feel her, on one side or the other?
Kind of right here.
Right in the middle?
Mm-hmm, like it was around, it was a big movement. It's not like one kick, it was like her whole.
Kick me too.
Did you just feel that?
Didn't you?
Oh, there's something moving up here. And there you go. So I actually don't know what my glucose is. So at, I don't know how the test went. I'm hoping so bad that I passed. It is a little nerve-wracking. And the reason I don't know is because at my midwife, she actually draws the blood, and I am getting a few other things tested as well. And so she just sends it to the lab to be tested, and they test my glucose level there, because doing the fingerprint can actually be inaccurate. It's even the ones that you can do at the hospital, the actual little handheld little battery operated finger prick things, they're allowed to have a margin of error. And so if you get it done at the lab, it's far more accurate. I think I'm okay. I actually used a little handheld one to check on my own right then too, and according to it, I was fine. So hopefully everything was fine with the lab too. I also had my Rogam shot because I am Rh negative. If you're unfamiliar with that, I am an A negative blood type. I'm Rh negative. It just means that my body will produce antibodies that reject the baby. Basically, if the baby has a positive blood type, all 3 of my previous children do have positive blood types, so this one probably does too. And if it wasn't for the miracle of these shots, then I would not have been able to have all these lovely babies, because my body would reject them. You could typically, historically, you could have 1 baby and this is if your partner is not negative. If your partner is Rh negative as well, you're good to go. If your partner is a positive, you're not. And so historically speaking, women could usually have one, then their body builds up antibodies against another baby without a negative blood type, and you just lose the babies again and again and again. Historically, this is something that happened a lot. And I've mentioned this before with previous pregnancies, but they actually suspect that Anne Boleyn was Rh negative and King Henry was not, and that is why she could have one healthy child and then she was not able to have any more. She lost the babies. But we live in a different age and it's wonderful. So I had that shot. That shot involves a big needle, but some people really complain about it. I don't know, because it's not that bad. It's not the best shot you're ever gonna have. It is a big needle, but my midwife did a really good job, so it was fine. But the other big thing is, okay, so there's just so much confusion and back and forth, and you know what, I'm gonna interrupt myself. My children, 2/3 of my 3 children are here, and there's a very real chance that they might fight or run down here, so sorry for the interruptions. Well, okay, so since I found out we were pregnant, there has been issues with the due date and HCG levels and things like that, and I've never gone fully into some of the specific details of what was weird. I've just kind of alluded to it. So at the beginning of this pregnancy, if you haven't followed from the start, we had a scare where we had a big like subchorionic hemorrhage and just a sac of blood basically, and we also had conflict with my HCG levels were here, but the fetus was measuring here, and so they thought that the baby wasn't growing and that we were losing the baby that did stick around. They did put into my medical records the suspected. I've never talked about this out loud. I know some of you have talked about it in the comments. I know I've had people on here who are ultrasound technicians and people who are twin moms who have commented on this before. They did suspect that we might have had a twin pregnancy, and we lost one, and that was part of why there was some confusion with HCG levels and things like that. But it would have been really early, and you don't know 100% for sure. And if not, okay, so basically, the date of my last period that I had, which isn't always accurate to get a due date because women ovulate at different times. I know I do. But it was basically it was in November, and I really, my calculated based on it, my due date would have been more like like August. Like, it was way different than what my actual due date is. And then I also got a positive pregnancy test that showed I was 3+ weeks from ovulation, so roughly 5+ weeks at the time of that little test, which again, you know, there can be variance, but I got that test. And then I went in, HCG levels, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, my HCG levels were, when we went in, they were closer to 300,000. 300,000. They were like, not quite that, but they were like 293,000, something like that. They were really high. But I was when we went into the ultrasound measured the baby at about 5.5 weeks. But the HCG levels, which can vary, they don't usually vary that much though. Those are HCG levels you see closer to 8 weeks. Obviously, all of this is not set in stone, and there are always exceptions. People have really high HCG levels early, just in a single normal pregnancy. Sometimes people have low HCG levels, but they're not usually closer to 300,000 when you're only 5.5 weeks. I also, the heart rate of the baby at that time was completely audible, very visual, and very, very strong for a 5.5 2.5 week old fetus, which again can happen. So it's not like a definitive, but there was my HCG levels mixed with the date of my last period, mixed with the bleed, which kind of, they said might have thrown some things off. And it was just, normally you really trust the early ultrasounds for dating, like dating when the baby should be due. But in my case, there was just enough weirdness that, this isn't from my midwife, but from the actual doctor I went to for the first trimester, they weren't 100% confident in the due date either. I've never had that happen. I've always been able to rely on those early ultrasounds. Now, my early ultrasounds, I had 4, and they did vary as well. 2 of them were right about putting me at a due date of September 10th to September 13th, and we went with the latest one, just as kind of like a precaution if I had to stick into the hospital. Hospitals like to rush you at the end of your pregnancy. I don't like to be rushed, and so I wanted to go with a date farther away. I could have chosen to pick like September 10th or something if I wanted. They were like with that. But one of the ultrasounds I had did put me, measured the baby at about 8. It was around 8 to 9 weeks was that ultrasound, which is still supposed to be pretty accurate. And it put the baby a lot sooner. And then they kind of just threw that out like it was a fluke. And so, I don't know, you guys. And then my HCG levels, just like everything's leveled out. And you fast forward a little bit to some more dating issues, and that is, I switched over to my midwife. At my first midwife appointment, I was supposedly, like, not quite 16 weeks, but my uterus was measuring where it was located, where you could feel the top of it, was at least about 18 to 19 weeks is what it felt like, where my uterus was, where you could feel the top of it. Again, 4th baby, this can happen, right? Like, none of this is like super accurate. That is what makes it hard to guess when a baby is due, despite your best efforts, because again, those early ultrasounds are supposed to be accurate, but most of the time, if you go and research, they're gonna be like, that's the most accurate you're gonna get. And I've always thought that too, but like I said, even the doctor was like, there's some, we had conflicting with my early ultrasounds, and I don't know. So it's just not, it doesn't matter that that's supposed to be the most accurate. It doesn't mean that it is 100% accurate. That's what I'm trying to say. So then fast forward, and I go in to get my 20-week scan, but I was doing it at what should have been about 18 weeks. And I'd been expressing at that point to like lots of people that I felt like my uterus was higher, it was already above my belly button, all these things that aren't supposed to be happening, but like can. So it wasn't like it was totally unheard of. It happens. But it was definitely a thing. Well, I went in for that ultrasound, and like one of the very first things that ultrasound tech said was, this uterus seems more like 20, 21 weeks. Like, not the baby. The baby was, it wasn't what the baby measured, it was where my uterus was. Like, it was just up way higher than it, like, she expected. I mean, she didn't know any of the backstory, and she commented, when she put that ultrasound probe on there, she was like, and I shared this story back when it happened, but she put that ultrasound probe on there, and she was like, and she had to like go higher, and she was like, huh, this is more like 20, even 21 week, like where your uterus is at. And then the baby was measuring at 19 weeks and 5 days or something like that. So, so the baby, it was funny. It's like, if my uterus really was 20, 21 weeks long, the baby was measuring a little small, but perfectly fine. If my uterus was just really big for some reason, which again can happen, it can happen. Then the baby was just measuring a little ahead of our 18-week guess. Whatever, it can all happen. So you just, I thought it was weird. I talked about it on here. We went along with it. And you know, my next appointment, I commented to the midwife. I'm like, I'm telling you that my uterus is above my belly button at this point. She was like, oh, well, maybe it should be close to your belly button right at this point, whatever the point we were at. And I just remember her being like, walking her fingers up and being like, there it is. And she's like, she just was like, it is high. It's still high. It's been high every appointment. And it's continued to stay that way. And here's the thing, my uterus and then they started measuring my fundal height at about 6 months. And it put us at about 2 to 3 weeks ahead. And I was just like, okay, maybe the baby's big, except the baby, like I said, it was measuring big even when I was, you know, 16 weeks, and the babies aren't even fat then. Like, babies don't usually measure ahead that much at that point. The variance in what a baby measures ahead or behind in that's still normal usually happens after they start putting fat on, which is way past that 16-week point. So basically, it is normal to measure behind or ahead. That's totally normal. It doesn't really mean anything because it's not completely accurate. And it can be normal for your uterus to expand a little bit faster. It can be normal to have different HCG levels. All these things can be normal, but in my situation, 2 ultrasounds put the baby at 1 date. My own estimation of like when it would have been possible to conceive the baby that wasn't like immaculate conception doesn't match up with the due date, and it also it matches up more with what we keep getting. And then one of the other early ultrasounds didn't match my current due date. It was way earlier. So this is a really long story, but I just wanted to tell you guys all of it because this has never happened to me before where we've been so off with possibly the due date being off. And not just like in theory, but like even the doctor's office. You know, this isn't just my midwife speculating or just me, this mom, speculating like I know more than the doctor and the midwife. I don't. The doctor, the midwife, and myself, and the ultrasound technician, everyone has been like, So, long story short, they moved my due date up 2 weeks. I think. I don't know. So basically the other thing is that I've been consistently measuring 2 to 3 weeks ahead, consistently for months now. This isn't like, that's the other thing. When you can, it is, as many of you know, and you know, you can reassure people in the comments, like you might be 28 weeks and you know you're 28 weeks and you might be measuring 29 and a half or 27 and everything is perfectly normal. So it is normal to measure off, but the thing is that's usually a fluctuation. It can be where the baby's sitting, it can be the fluid in your uterus, like your amniotic fluid levels, it can be the baby's bigger or a little smaller but still perfectly healthy. All those things can happen. With me, it's the consistency. I am very consistently not matching up with my current due date. I'm very consistently matching up, not just size-wise, but other things as well, matching up with the baby being due earlier. I don't know, and I've been saying, how long have I been telling you guys, like, I'm not gonna be surprised if I have this baby on September 1st and it's a 9-pound full-term baby and we were just all wrong. You know, I've said that already, I've made that comment. So I don't know. And I did ask them, I was like, is it because like I have a fat stomach? Is it just like is my fundal height measuring wrong? And she was like, one, it doesn't explain the HCG levels, the ultrasound, the early ultrasound that didn't match up with the current due date, the ultrasound at 18 weeks or possibly closer to 20. It doesn't match up with those. And then she said, no, she said like the fat on my stomach is not causing this reading, you know, and I was researching online and pretty much everything I read, a few people, it was like people like you and me, like that aren't medical professionals, we all, like some of those people be like, yeah, it can affect it. But I noticed that like the professionals, like actual doctors, OBGYNs and midwives, they were all like, no, we know how to measure from the pubic bone to the top of the uterus. We know how to do that. And if a fatter patient is not going, like we're not gonna get the dates off that much. And it would fluctuate if it was that. Like I said, mine has been consistent. I'm consistently, here's where we thought I should be, but I've been consistently here. Just the whole time, like steady. I don't know, you guys. And I know so many of you are gonna have opinions like, no, just stick with the one ultrasound from the beginning and ignore the other beginning ultrasound, or stick with that, or maybe it was just that. I don't know, I just have a bunch of thoughts running through my head. I'm like, you know, maybe because there was problems, that you know, very early ultrasound, the baby was just measuring small or was in a weird position. I did read that despite the fact that that's supposed to be the most accurate time to date the baby, sometimes the babies can be curled, even though they're only like a little fetal pole, they can be kind of curled funny, and I don't know. Or maybe we're all wrong and I am just due September 13th and I'm just measuring big this whole time. And my HCG levels were just really high, and maybe it was a multiple pregnancy. And that's all that was, and that explains that. I know this is long, it's gonna be a pain in the butt to edit, but I just wanted to share it all. And basically, you know, you already don't know when the baby's gonna come. And it's already a little bit of anxiety there because you're just like, you know, in anticipation mode. And now I feel like my window went from like, this is my window of when, and barring anything exceptional happening, the baby's gonna come. Now my window's like this because I don't know. So in my records, she did change my due date to September 1st, which would mean I'm actually like 30 weeks and not 28 weeks completed. I'm actually 30 weeks completed. I don't know how to change the vlogs. Like, I'm like, do I change these? Do I switch to my new due date? I mean, they changed it officially, even with my insurance company. And the midwife was like, we can, you know, change it at the end of the day. And so the long story is that as the baby's healthy and I'm healthy, it doesn't really matter when she comes. But mentally, this is really hard for me. Mentally, it's already a struggle, like I said, to have this window. And then you tell me my window is now like this. And it's a lot, you guys. And I've been handling all of these things that have been thrown at me and all this pressure. I feel like I've been handling it pretty dang well. And now I'm just kind of like, I just don't know what's happening, and it's hard. And then I was gonna just say that, you know, it's fine, like opinions are fine, but like some people get really, they don't just like have a view, they get very like superior about it, like it has to be this way, this is the only way. And so like that's annoying too, because it's just like, part of me was like, every time I tell people my due date's gonna change, or might be changed, but might not, it's like someone's gonna, you know, some people are just gonna have like a basic normal opinion, like, oh, well, huh, you know, this happened to me, or like a normal one, right? And then some people are gonna be like, that's not possible, or that's perfectly possible. Like, there's no definitive here. There is no like 100% right scenario, despite what I know some people will try to say or argue. So I don't know. And then like I was saying, touched on this already, but like changing the due date, like changing these updates, you know, towards the end of my pregnancy, when I hit 37 weeks, I like to do these daily vlogs until labor, where I vlog every day until the baby comes. Now it's like, it changes those, like when do I start those? And the baby really might just do till September, so I don't want to like get my hopes up, but I also, now I'm like, okay, I need to prepare that the baby could come earlier, like realistically. Not just, you know, I don't know, you know? How would this make you feel? How would you feel to have it like this? But in other news, I am 28 weeks completed, or 30 weeks completed, I don't know. Everything else has been going well. My right hip's been bothering me a little bit, but having some more acid reflux. But nothing too crazy. I've continued to not have any more of that back gallbladder pain, so yay. I do feel like my heart beats really fast now, like really easily. Like that seems to happen, like my heart just feels like all of a sudden it just jumps and it's just pounding, and I won't even have done much, so I'm kind of like, that's weird. But like my blood pressure will be okay. So it's not like raising my blood pressure, it's just my heart rate. And I got a maternity massage, pregnancy massage, whatever you want to call them. It was the most amazing thing ever. There's only one time that I've had a better massage, or a massage just as good, and it was with the same lady when I was pregnant with Audrey. This lady is magical. She's so magical. She massages like, she is amazing. She is the best masseuse I have ever used in my entire life. I felt so, like, well, one, I felt really soft because she uses these like essential oils and creams, and like, oh my gosh, I was just so soft everywhere. She massages like right on the side of even my butt, all the way down to my feet. Up here, like she has me flip from one side to the other, and then I kind of lay halfway, like mostly on my back with the pillow kind of right here, and she gets up in here, and oh, I'm so doing it again. It is worth the money. That is, a massage is not something that I spend money on much because I feel like it's an extravagance, but oh my gosh, I feel like it changed me as a person. That's how good this lady is. It's the same lady I had with Audrey. I'm so glad she still worked at the spa that I go to, and oh, it's amazing. Okay, so that happened. And I cannot wait to go back. So let me show you guys the belly. Here it is. 28 weeks completed or 30 weeks completed belly, I don't know. Y'all tell me, what should I do with the updates? What should I do? Do I change them? Do I wait? I think we're gonna get a gross scan of the baby around 36 weeks. That's what my midwife pointed out. Oh, here's another thing. Oh my gosh, whether I'm 28 weeks completed or 30 weeks completed, either way, I'm starting 2-week appointments now where I go every 2 weeks. How am I at the point where I'm going to the doctor every 2 weeks now? How did that happen? Like, I don't know. So this is a really long update. I really hope you guys stuck around. I wanted to just go through the whole thing, because if you don't go through the whole thing, then people just interject without hearing the whole story and not getting the whole picture. And I wanted to kind of give you guys the whole picture. And I also wanted to touch on the possible multiple pregnancy, all that stuff that like I've kind of not gotten into. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know mentally what to do. And on one hand, it's like, cause Kyle's just like, well, you know, we'll just be ready earlier. And I'm like, it's so easy for him to just like say that. And it's like super nice. And I know he means well, but when you are pregnant and you don't know, it is already so much mystery going on about what is happening and when things are gonna happen. And having that like kind of just having that tousled even more is just emotionally heavy, you know? And yes, I know the baby's gonna come when she wants to come. As long as everybody's, I know that. I know, obviously, like, I know that. It doesn't mean that you just magically like are okay about everything though. You know what I mean? Like, you're not magically like, oh, okay, well, cause I know that, I'm fine. Like, no, it's like, I wish. And this is from me, like, I'm a pretty optimistic person. So I cannot imagine if I was not as optimistic, I'd probably be like broken right now. So it's just a lot. And then in addition, our house, like, their hopeful like completion date, the early completion date they gave us in the window was mid-August, August 15th. And we went for a meeting today, pre-sheetrock meeting, and it's really looking like it's gonna be probably more like very end of August, early September, which is fine. They're still in that window. They're still doing a great job. They're not late. They're still on time because they did give us a window. But I'm just like, everything else happening, I wish the house could be done earlier. All right, you guys. So yeah, I don't know. Help me figure out what to do with the dates, with the like pregnancy updates. That might seem like a silly thing that shouldn't matter, but it kind of does matter to me because this is for my own personal records too. And I don't know. What should I do? What should I do? Should I just change them? Should I change them or just keep going as these? I don't know. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching as usual. Sorry this one was a little bit like, sorry this was so long and all that stuff, but thanks for listening. I will talk to everyone in the next update. Bye, guys.